Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Interviews with the Experts here on the Ross A. Bespoke Butlers YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about branding. So branding, I'm a big one for personal branding. You look at me here, I've got my brandy, which is branding me, my tie, my suit. But what we're looking at tonight is branding on paper, and that's how people perceive your company. Now, Michael Barron, who we're interviewing tonight, he's an expert on branding. He's been in the design industry for 20 odd years. He's the CEO of a successful Scottish design company. And I mean, he'll tell you a bit more of that later. So if I can just introduce you to Michael Barron, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi there, good evening.
So Michael, tell me, just so everyone gets an idea, like who you are, what you do, is there anything that people would know that you've designed, something that you're particularly proud of?
Well, yeah, one of the things that, being a football fan myself, I got the fantastic opportunity to design the Scottish national football team branding logo when back in the early 2000s, when branding for like football clubs through like the advent of the English Premiership, branding for football clubs really became something that like clubs used as a way of selling their merchandise. So with England rebranding, I think Scotland decided it was time for them to put their foot in the water and decided to rebrand and use the brand then to develop across like a variety of merchandising products that they could sell to the fans. So I got the opportunity to redesign the Scotland team crest, which the players would wear on their shirts and wearing it across the world on various games, tournaments and things like that. So for me, that is the one thing that I'm always proud of, and being Scottish and with being able to, I still see, in fact, the other day I saw a man walking down the road with the badge on his top, and I thought, that just epitomises what branding is all about. If lots of companies try to get the brand to the point that people are passionate about it, that they're very happy to wear it wherever, and to see a football fan still with the badge, which is now you're talking about 20 years old nearly, and it has been updated just recently, but the fact is that he's still wearing it says a lot about the brand itself.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. So basically anyone that's seen Scotland play football, so, you know, not many people if they're watching the World Cup, but no, I'm only joking. But anyone who's seen Scotland play football will have seen your design. That's incredible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So you've been you mentioned branding a lot, and that's what we're talking about. So maybe you can just talk us through, what's the difference between branding a company and just the logo? Is it the same? Is it different?
Well, when it comes to branding, the starting point is the logo. The logo is what then, once created, the brand then develops from there. The colours, the type styles, that then transfers across, whether it's onto vehicles, if the company has vehicles, onto the website, onto uniforms, if they advertise like on billboards, it transfers across everything. But the fact, the brand itself is the consistent look. So you're taking the logo and making sure that where that logo appears, it'll appear exactly, whether it's on like an A4 bit of paper, right up to like a massive billboard. So so that everybody can see the consistency of the brand all the way through.
So I mean, so it sounds like it's really important and really necessary for business. But how does a business or a person, how do they go about branding themselves?
Well, the branding process, there's several steps to it. First of all, when you're coming to branding something, what you have to look at is what is being sold. So what is it, whether it's a service or whether it's an actual product. So for example, if it's a diamond specialist, they're going to be getting branded in a totally different way from like a pizza company. But the principles are exactly the same. When you then look at the next part, which is the target market, who is it the target market is? So for example, if you look at the clothing industry, you've got Primark who are in one end of the market, and you've got Gucci in the other end of the market. So they both, in all intents and purposes, sell the same products, but they sell them to totally different markets. So again, it's down to defining the target market to sell your products, which are totally different in price led. The next part you would look at would be the name. So whether it's there's a name already in existence, or whether it's a new name that's been created. Most names, for example, in the luxury brand, tend to follow the style, like a person's name. Like whether it's the inventor or the creator, or whether it's a designer if it's a fashion label, or whether it was like, for example, you're looking at Bentley or Rolls Royce. You know, like the people who formed the companies. Whereas you look at, for example, Next on the high street, you know, it's not a name that instantly ties itself to the product, you know, or what it is that they're trying to sell. So again, name is quite important. Then you move on to the research. Once you've got all that other in place, you have to look at the research. So you're looking at symbols, stuff that ties into whether it's product, around the name. And you also have to be careful of, if you're looking to target, for example, a global market. So for example, you're looking at a company that's wanting to go all over the world. They have to be mindful of symbols and colours that they use, that they're not offensive in particular countries. Some countries, symbols are unlucky. Other ones, like colours, are again like they're either unlucky or they're not looked on very happily. I'll give you an example. With Mercedes-Benz, when they first went to China, they had this brand launch, and they were going to use the name Benzie for the car itself. And when it launched to great accolade, it was only then that they realised that it was translated that Benzie actually meant rush to death. So it was a big failure. So these are the kind of things that you have to kind of consider when you're designing like a brand like that. Once you've got the research together, you then develop the logo idea into several different approaches, and then at that point you bring the ideas to the client, and then you collaborate with the client till they're really happy with the outcome. Once the logo's then finally in its place, you then are at the beginning of developing the brand into the various aspects of the business.
Wow, I mean, we talk about something that's incredibly in depth, aren't we? We're not just talking about creating a pretty picture that you think is going to look nice. There's a lot more.
Well, that's exactly it. I think that there's been many times over the last few years you've seen a lot of like big companies rebranding, and the headline is like £1 million rebrand, and there's a lot of, I can't believe that amount of money's been spent on that. But what they actually don't realise is what's actually going on before that, because there's a lot of research has gone into it. There's been so many different designers involved in it. There's so much market research involved. There's so much involved in the preparatory work before you actually get to the end product. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't always work. And Gap clothing is a most recent example of having a rebrand of their clothing, a brand name, or logotype, and it totally flopped. Everybody hated it. Leeds United, down in England, the football team, again, they rebranded with a new logo. Fans hated it. Absolutely hated it. And it actually turned it, with football rivalry, there was a lot of like rival fans mocking it and doing parodies of it and things like that. So things like that have to be very, very, a lot of time spent getting it right. So it's not just a simple case of get some research, turn up the logo, that's the finished product. So it's very, very, it has to be done very carefully and very mindfully when it's been done.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of, and you see it advertised all the time on social media, these, you know, oh, for $20 we can give you a logo, you just give us your name. But that doesn't help with any of this, does it? All that does is give you a really pretty version of your name.
Well, you know, that from a designer's background, that kind of industry, it gives designers a bad name because it looks as if that we are overcharging for what we actually do. But from our point of view, in terms of the branding side, we look right in depth of what a company's all about, the ethos of the company, what the company are trying to achieve, who is they're trying to target. Whereas you've got programs on the internet that you can use, which comes up with these symbols and graphics, and don't get me wrong, they look great, but they mean nothing. There's nothing behind them apart from just bringing together some images and text. There's no kind of a company like background. There's no history there. There's no kind of personality about it. That's really what branding should be about in a company's. Get the company personality out, and that in itself reflects on the products, and it reflects and it sells it then to the customers.
And that reminds me of like when you did the branding for me, when you did the branding for Rosse Bespoke Butlers, you had the brilliant idea of using the Rosse family, or a version of the Rosse family crest, the actual coat of arms, which, you know, and that brought everything together. It's all what we're about is about the history. It's about chivalry. It's about the whole thing, and it just brought it together. That you know, that wasn't my idea. That was Michael's idea that created that. I said I wanted a shield, but he brought the coat of arms, which made it a totally different thing.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like branding is all about bringing together all the aspects of a business, whether it's a personal or whether it's a multinational organisation. But it's bringing all these aspects together: the history, the as I was saying, the ethos, the whole personality of the business, and bringing that together in a look that talks to the customers. And that's really what it's all about. It's connecting with the customers. So, for example, you've got, look at Ralph Lauren. They've got a really strong brand, which when you take the polo player and put the polo player onto like a polo shirt or something like that, instantly you know that it's a Ralph Lauren polo shirt. There doesn't need to be any text. That in itself says it's a strong brand. Whereas if you've just created something which can look good but mean nothing, then it really doesn't reflect well on a business.
Yeah. So it has to have a bit of emotional content, a bit of reality.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, that's what it's all about. You're actually selling emotions to people. You're actually selling, for example, if it's a Rolex watch, yeah, you're selling a watch, but you're actually selling the name. It's the name people are wanting on their arm as opposed to just a watch. Mm-hmm. It's like a car. People are wanting a Bentley, they're wanting a Rolls Royce. They could have any car, but it's the car name that they're wanting. It's the it's the status that's around all that. But it's what's actually in here with the people. It's like it's the love for that kind of brand that they're trying to get across.
Yeah, I suppose especially when you talk about cars there, it's so true. I mean, if you put a Ford badge on the front of a Bentley, no one's going to spend £200,000 on that car. They'll say it's a Ford. It's only worth 20,000. It doesn't matter if it's exactly the same car. It's just
that's exactly it. That's when you think about the actual way that, for example, there's a car around the corner from when I stay, and it's a wee Fiat 500, but it's been branded with the Gucci livery on the side of the car. It's been done quite subtly, it's black with the wee kind of the red and the green branding along the side of the car, and you think that there says a lot about the Gucci brand itself, that somebody's wanting to have Gucci driving about with a Gucci brand around the town, and that says a lot about the brand itself. Is that, again, it's, as I was saying, it's the passion that people have for a brand. It's like the football one I was giving you right at the start. It's like people trying to capture that kind of real fan support for their logo and the brand of the company. It's how to capture that, and if you don't use the services of an expert, then you're not going to achieve that, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking like of everything, the football things. It makes me think about the colours that all these different logos are and everything. So are things like the colours important? Do they say a lot about the brand?
Oh, definitely. Because there's been a lot of research into the use of colours. For example, red is seen as bold, youthful colour. Yellow is seen as optimistic and happy. And you see a lot of luxury brands use black. Now, black is seen as elegant, it's seen as classic, it's seen as high end, and that's where you see a lot of brands using black. But colours are very, very important to every business. But it's how you're actually trying to get. It's through your way of trying to talk to your client, your ideal clients. So, for example, an undertakers wouldn't be using bright colours, because their target market is looking at very sad situations. So, that's why they go for more subdued, darker colours. Again, it's you wouldn't go into a child's toy shop and the colour branding be blacks and greys and stuff. It's all bright colours. So these are the kind of things that you have to, when you're designing something like that, you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount to it. And I mean, you've obviously given people some really good tips and some good advice. And now I'm also seeing why my logo is black and red, because I'm both youthful and dynamic as well as high classy. So that's very good. Well done there. So you've given people a lot of ideas, and I think that most people watching this are thinking they're going to be inspired, but they're going to be thinking, okay, so this isn't something an amateur could do. So if they wanted to hire you to do it, or someone similar to you, what should they do?
Well, if they're looking to rebrand their business, really what they first have to do is, why are they wanting to rebrand their business? Do they feel there's a disconnect with them and their target market? Or are they looking to target themselves to a different target market? Also, they have to think about who it is that they're trying to aim towards. See, for example, are there similar companies within who they're trying to target, their own target market? Are there other companies might not be in their industry, but how do they engage with that target market? And only then, once they've had a look at these kind of things, then can they decide if they want to rebrand or if they need to rebrand, because they might not necessarily need to. And then if they want to speak to someone like ourselves or another branding agency, they can then help them to make that move and move them to where they're wanting to be.
So they really want to sort of do their research first, look at their own reasons behind it. And
yeah, because it's very there's people think, oh, I need to rebrand because somebody else is rebranding. It could be a rival company's rebranding, but comparing themselves to other people, there's the other company that they're looking at might not be doing it right. That people might be perceiving, like from my own point of view, being a designer, I've redesigned my own company logo several times and tried out different ones, and a number of times people have said to me, oh, I really love your logo, I like the way that you've done, like use the wee E as the shape of a line, and that's when I've kind of stood back and thought, I'm actually designing this for myself and not for my target market, and I should actually listen to what they're actually saying as opposed to thinking myself what I think. So like this is why they should really look at who their target market is and what the target market that they're trying to aim at, what they perceive of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's interesting. I mean, it's about not rebranding for the sake of it, but doing it out of evolution or necessity. I suppose when you think about somewhere like Harrods, they've basically never rebranded in the last 300 years, and they don't need to. Tweaks, slight differences. Coca-Cola, they put it that way on the can instead of that way, but that's basically all.
That's exactly. It can be done in a very subtle way that people don't notice the difference. As you rightly pointed out, like Harrods, for example, Harrods logo, from my point of view, has never changed. But if they rebranded and give a totally different look, would it maybe devalue the name? Would people automatically see them as the same Harrods that there's always been?
Yeah, because it's such a part of the company, isn't it? That archetypal, it looks like it's just been written by the chief executive or whatever. It's got that feel, hasn't it? I was saying, if someone really does decide that they want to rebrand, they've looked at all of what you just said and they want you to do it. They've just heard your voice, you're an expert. What's your website? How can people get hold of you?
Well, we're on all the social media platforms. We've got our website, which is zest-creative.co.uk, which at the moment we're currently behind the scenes rebuilding it and making it up to date. But we're here. You can contact us through the website. We can contact you through. I'm sure there'll be a link on this video as well.
Oh yeah. Look in the description.
Yeah. But we're here. You can contact us, phone, email, through like our social media, like messaging links. So more than happy to offer advice and help where necessary.
Fantastic. Well, I think get ready for the phone to be vibrating off the table. Thank you very much, Michael. So that was really kind of you to join me today. So everyone, that's Michael Barron from Zest Creative. So that's the name of the company there, Zest Creative. You've just heard a little bit about how to get hold of him if you want your product rebranded, especially if you're one of our high-end brands. I know there's a lot of my contacts out there and a lot of my viewers who are, by their very nature, tend to be high-end. I mean, we're butlers at the end of the day. So if you want to get some rebranding done, just get in touch. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, Michael. It's been a great pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you. And last bit of housekeeping, as always, everybody, please, if you've enjoyed this interview, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we've got loads of interviews with the experts. In fact, there's one of the lists of shows with all the interviews of the experts. There's also Butler's tips, there's Butler school stuff. So make sure you subscribe. There's a little bell next to subscribe, which means you'll actually get a notification when I put up any videos. So thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone at home, and good night.
Good night.